Callisto Protocol is an upcoming survival horror action game that is crawling with nightmarish creatures that would make absolutely killer costumes. And what better place to cosplay than the long overdue return of San Diego Comic-Con? We were inspired by the Callisto Protocol's developer Striking Distance to bring this nightmare into a reality, and I agreed to be the victim. I guess this time I am the creature that's getting kitbashed. This is Kitbash Creatures, sponsored by the Callisto Protocol. Located in North Hollywood, Ojala Productions has made a wide variety of practical effects that have appeared in everything from horror movies to heavy metal music videos to
animatronic mutant wolves, you name it.
Jim Ojala, the founder, showed me around his workshop and gave me a tour of some of the various costumes, prosthetics, and creature effects he's worked on over the years. Well, let's go take a look at what we're gonna be making, or you're gonna be making.
Absolutely, let's do it.
Cool. To give Jim a better understanding of what he was turning me into, I showed him the Callisto Protocol trailer, which is chock full of biophage grossness.
Crazy.
Then we jumped on a call with Glauco Longi, character director at Striking Distance Studios. We were hoping you could give us some input on sort of the different variations of the biophage and, what might make sense to turn me into.
We definitely have many different variations. We could start looking at the old biophage. So these guys are mainly found in the deep sections of our planet. They are very old, so old that this mutation took over their bodies and now they are actually stuck in walls, as we saw in the trailer a little bit. We also have what we would call the regular biophage humans that are infected, full of boils kind of growing over their shoulders and their heads, and teeth coming out of, like multiplying and growing all over their face, their bodies. Big mouth, we also saw that one in the trailer, and that one has actually 2 jaws. Imagine like the biophage a little bit more on steroids. A little bit bigger, still boils, still same type of language in the body, the flesh, but now his head is actually splitting apart. Very, very aggressive.
Then, Jim walked me through the design elements that would prove the most challenging to create practically. A costume of the old biophage that was screen accurate would likely require CGI to get the waist skinny enough. Talk about unrealistic beauty standards.
Probably not the best choice to do practically.
On a similar note, the big mouth design doesn't really allow much room for my chin unless we comp that out in post too, or gave me horrifying surgery. So that leaves the regular biophage, specifically this guy covered in tumors and boils.
Yeah, I think this is the winner, and you can have pants on too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's Comic-Con policy. You can't just walk around
Exactly.
bottomless there. Anyway, let's see exactly how Ojala Productions makes a monster. In a perfect world, a life-size mold would have been taken of my head, but luckily Jim had the mold of this guy's head laying around, and as much as I love to sit very still with my head covered in slime, his measurements are close enough to mine that they're gonna work, and that'll save the Ojala crew a ton of time. Psycho here is working on sculpting the biophage head on top of the epoxy head cast. She's working with oil-based clay, which won't dry out, so she's got plenty of time to add all the necessary details, and there are quite a lot of details. This is starting to come together, but there is still quite a ways to go, so while she's working on that, let's head over to the body shop. The folks working on the suit had a bit of a head start, or a body start, I guess. The costume mold is ready to go, and this stolen Forever 21 mannequin will go inside it. I'm just kidding, it's a body form made from a cast of another guy around my size. The lining gets a few dabs of liquid latex to reinforce certain areas, and the zipper gets covered with tape to keep it getting all gunked up with foam rubber. A layer of foam latex is applied to the inside of the mold by hand to make sure that all the details get captured. Once that's done, the body form gets locked into the mold and it gets pumped full of freshly mixed foam rubber, and when it's cured enough to move, the whole thing gets loaded into a giant oven where it's baked at 130 degrees for 8 hours, and after that, it comes out as one solid piece. Alright, let's see how the hands are coming along. Special care has to be taken with these because they're generally subject to more wear than the rest of the body. I mean, assuming I don't fall down an escalator or try to breakdance and ruin the rest of the suit. Eventually, there are going to be some fingernails, but those will come later. Seiko's been hard at work on the head and neck, and it's really coming along. Something tells me that she has looked at some truly horrifying close-up medical photos for reference. I'm sorry you had to do that, but it paid off and we are ready to make a mold of this beautiful, disgusting head. The clay bust is laid down and a wall of wooden blocks is built up around it, epoxy gets poured onto that, and it gets flipped over and repeated. Next, it's time for the best part, a luscious haystack of fresh coconut shavings dusted in powdered sugar and then drizzled with creamy caramel sauce. I'm kidding, this is fiberglass and a bunch of hazardous chemicals to make it harden. Do not put this on your ice cream or you will definitely die. In fact, do not eat anything in this building or you will definitely die. With the fiberglass in place, this mold is tough as nails, or tough as fiberglass, which is actually stronger than nails, and that's good. And now it's time to turn this bust into a mask. Holes get drilled in the mold to make sure the foam is everywhere, a nylon socket's put over the head form, and eye and mouth holes get cut out. After that, the mold gets locked down and pumped full of foam latex. Once again, this is loaded into the oven and cooked, and this time it's at 170 degrees, but only for 5 hours. And now, it's time for the big reveal. And yeah, that is one gnarly biophage. All right, well, I guess I should just put this on.
Let's do it.
Now, before any more work gets done on the suit, it's probably a good idea to make sure it fits. I swung by the studio again to try it on, which is quite a process. That's surprisingly comfortable. You hear horror stories about actors being stuck in makeup chairs for 8 hours to get in costume, and thankfully, this is way easier, but it's still a 3-person job and it's a bit of a tight squeeze. So I have a latex allergy, is that gonna be a problem? I'm fine with you.
I was like,
Next, they're sewing in some snaps, which is gonna make it easier for me to get in and out of the costume, and also to hold down any loose flaps or edges without having to resort to any glue or adhesive. Next up, it's time for painting. The base coat is being done in a dark purplish, which will get dry brushed with a lighter flesh tone to make all the details pop and accentuate the shadows. These basic tones are being done in rubber cement based paint, which will really bite into the mask and won't rub off. Which is important because this mask is going to get manhandled quite a bit to fit over my big dumb head. More delicate airbrush paints are applied next in a variety of tones for bloody gums and lots of veins. You know, gross monster stuff. A similar approach is taken with the suit. Without enough contrast, all of that fine detail is going to blend together. To further accentuate the tumors, they're being outlined with airbrush to make them really look properly malignant and inflamed and just nasty. And you know what? I think this costume is finished. Now, it's time for me to hit Comic-Con. Let's do this. Would you get a load of this thing? What an absolutely hideous, beautiful creation. The artists at Striking Distance designed a truly repulsive creature, and then the team at Ojala clearly knew how to bring that to life effectively. Great job, everyone. If you want to get up close and personal with the Biophage yourself, there's a whole bunch of them waiting for you in the Callisto Protocol, which is coming to consoles and PC on December 2nd. And for everything terrifying, be it made of foam rubber or killing you in a video game, you're already in the right place, IGN.